wrote a Substack article about how no scrolling almost sent me to the hospital, and I wish that was hyperbole. Like, I wish it wasn't. But indeed, I almost took myself to the psych ER because I thought my brain was going to break. Because for the first time in probably 5 to 6 years, I was feeling emotions and thinking things that I had just dug deep down for a very long time. I stopped calling myself an artist a few years ago, which is really silly because I don't think that part of you ever dies. But I used to write poetry as if it was like I couldn't breathe if I didn't. And I used to write all these stories. I used to create art. And then I sat here just like staring at a wall, not understanding where the fuck to go. So when I took a 2 week break from Instagram and TikTok, the first thing that popped up was the fact that, holy shit, I am so lonely. And this idea is not new. In fact, they've kind of been seeing this in a worldwide trend that so many people are lonely. Like, it is now a worldwide health crisis to the point where the World Health Organization has recognized it on their site. They have multiple publications for it, and they're trying to raise awareness and trying to do some research to kind of figure the fuck out, like, how do they fix it? And why is this a health crisis? Like, oh, we don't want people to feel bad. Yeah, sure. Except for the fact they've been studying loneliness and social isolation, and it leads to an early mortality. Like, it's literally up there with smoking cigarettes, having a not great diet, and like it is just as effective in a not so great way as all these other things that we've been warned about our whole lives. And the craziest part about it, it's whether you actually are alone or you just feel alone. Whether it's, again, social isolation or just loneliness. Now, I couldn't figure out if social media, it just like distracted me from how lonely I felt, or if it genuinely made me feel like I was part of some bigger world. But I noticed that anytime I stepped away from this proverbial thing, this thing that's like not really real, but it kind of is, that loneliness would creep in, and then I would just start scrolling again, right? Like, my screen time was really up there. And I sat there and I wondered, again, is it because I have friends on social media, so I'm talking to them, but I'm not really talking to them right now because I'm not on social media? Or have I always felt this lonely? But scrolling made me feel a little bit less lonely, or at least distracted me from the fact that I felt that way. Because now I'm starting to see my neighbors for the first time, right? I'm starting to talk to them, learn their names, what they do. I'm starting to go to events and get people's numbers and their information, and then go have a real conversation with their real face in a real coffee shop and have an actual conversation. My neighborhood's starting to feel a lot more small in the most beautiful, cozy, secure way, because I'm starting to actually get to know the people in it, and I'm starting to have a lot of affection for the characters that I'm meeting. And that's just not something that I have really felt before. And I think social media is kind of this place. I mean, social's in the name, so we think that we are getting some of this like social interaction, but it feels quite hollow at the end of the day. Like, not, don't get me wrong, I love the friends that I have on social media, but those interactions, like commenting in threads with one another, it does not replace when I go to my friend's house, we cuddle on their couch, we watch a movie. Like, that is so, like, that fulfills me on a grander scale. But I was filling so much of my time with just the scrolling act that even if I was hanging out with people in person, there was a disconnect. Because, you know, anytime they went to the washroom, I'm on my phone, I'm scrolling, I'm figuring stuff out instead of just sitting there and looking around the room and noticing people that are there, maybe having other conversations with people, because I'm now approachable because my face is not in my phone. Not everyone wants to be approachable, that's fine, but sometimes I do. I want to make friends. And then I started to realize throughout not being on social media that my creativity got sparked again. Suddenly I was making art. Like, for example, I'm working on the cover for my new journal because I just got a new journal yesterday, and this was a photo, or this was something out of the New York Times, their book review, and I loved the colors. I loved that the Beatles were on it. I love that Bob Dylan was on it. And I'm doing a lot of collaging. Okay, I'm putting a lot of cutting a lot of stuff out and painting on it. And I've never really done I've done some visual art before, but it was never really my thing. I started writing poetry again. I finally started working on my novel, finally. And I went to an open mic night for poetry, and I met other people there, and just getting to see people be vulnerable and share their art is such a beautiful experience that we don't really get to do. I mean, I can go online and look at people share their poetry and their writing, and that's really wonderful, that's really beautiful, but there's something about going to a cafe and people from your neighborhood, people from your city get up with their scribbled out pages and share their art. And God, that's beautiful. And I also went to a gallery opening for a local artist. She did a whole thing on disassociation, and the art was beautiful. I ended up buying 2 prints because they were so inexpensive, but I bought 2 prints. And it was so nice just to support a local artist, and I went with my best friend. And because of the creativity involved, you start to discuss these things with other artists. It opens up even more connection with others. And I was trying to figure out, like, why is creativity not fostered when I'm on social media all the time? Because I'm content creating, right? I'm creating content. I'm creating something. But really, it's just like content production, because at the end of the day, I was trying to fit things into the algorithm, what my audience could probably like, because I needed to be viewed, I needed to be liked, interacted with, adored, followed. I needed that. And it turns out they're also looking at this and they're studying this, and they're seeing that social media actually does kind of strip you of your autonomy and your creativity, because you're starting to create content for external validation rather than internal satisfaction. Not all content creators do this, but I certainly was. I was trying to figure out what trend I could hop on, what gimmicky thing I could do to like get eyes on my content, because it's gotten so competitive. I stopped making content that I'm just like, oh God, I love this. I love this so much. And even when I re-downloaded Instagram and TikTok today, I was like, I have no TikTok that I'm going to put out because I just have nothing to say right now. Like, I have all these beautiful video ideas in mind. I want to talk about witchcraft and magic and how so much of that is just literally just from here. We can have extravagant whatever to get us in the mindset, but it's really all from here. But it's like, I want to make these like almost like short films that are just like, almost like, what's the word? Like offerings to the beauty that we have in the world, right? Like, just let me create beautiful art and share it on these platforms, and hopefully that people see it and they love it and they relate to it. That's what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for people who can relate to these experiences that I'm having and maybe feel less alone. And then I started to look at the shame that I feel inside, because again, when you're not scrolling, I'm journaling all the time, and all these thoughts are coming up, these feelings that I've been having for years and never addressing them. And there's a beautiful paper written by Vita Yao. It's called Grace and Alienation, and it's all about how grace and attentive love can help heal the exile that shame causes, and how when we feel shame, we tend to isolate ourselves from people because we don't want people to see these parts of us. But when those parts are actually met with love, it's like an informed love. It's like, oh no, I know all these parts about you and I love you. I don't love you because I have this hope that you're just going to get better. I don't love this future version of you that I hope is going to happen. I don't love you because it's like, oh, well, I see all the tragic stuff that led you here, you poor thing. I don't love you out of pity. I don't love you because I'm not trying to like reach into this godly personhood that you probably have, like removed from your animalistic instincts, but really seeing you bloody, filthy, disgusting, and loving you. And turning that towards myself was so helpful. I saw that, yeah, I'm selfish, I'm insecure, I'm jealous, and I have like a streak of maliciousness in me sometimes, and I talk a lot. And seeing those parts of myself and like not trying to like run away from those or hide them, but instead love myself fully, even with all that knowledge, was so powerful, because then it helped me accept the love from other people, because I'm like, oh, you know this about me too, and you love me, and that's so beautiful. And starting to put myself in places where I'm with people who know this about me, and I know those things about them, and we love each other with that, and like each other through that. God, it's so powerful. And again, this was just 2 weeks away from social media where I just journaled a shit ton. Again, you can read the full article where I go into depth about a lot of this stuff. I'm going to put the link under this, and then also in my bio, I guess. But if you're thinking of taking a break from social media, I really suggest doing it. But do it intentionally, where you're journaling throughout, you're thinking about what's coming up for you, and then before you get back onto it, make a plan on how you're going to use it. I would have just deleted it completely for the rest of my life if it wasn't also my job and if I wasn't trying to be a writer, so publishers care about this kind of thing. But if you can do without it, do without it, man. God, the world is so beautiful, and it's so much better when you don't have your face in your freaking phone.